I'm going to talk about the sacrament of holy orders, or becoming a priest, or in some religions, a priestess. Um, so basically, holy orders is this idea that somebody is kind of a intercessor between you and your God, and holy orders gives them special power and authority to channel that energy into your life, which as a lay person, in some of these churches, you're not really considered qualified to do. So, like in the Catholic Church, they have a special hierarchy and of people. So the ones that are allowed to, do certain things in the Mass are all supposed to be celibate men. But see, that's the part that we have to get into about the Holy Orders thing. Is basically holy orders is about one thing only, and that is hypocrisy. So if you have priests and priestesses, or just priests, basically whatever it is that they are telling you not to do, they're probably doing it. So if I go here and tell you like how you're supposed to live your life and what you're supposed to do, and I say like I'm a priestess, like I probably either am doing the exact opposite, or I've probably already done the exact opposite. So it's just basically blatant hypocrisy is what it is. So it sounds kind of like ironic, because aren't these priests supposed to be more pure than you? They're supposed to be more holy. They're supposed to be more just better people, but it's actually the opposite. And whoever even wants those sorts of roles is like probably, we're talking about digging up the dregs of society to stand between you and the divine power, basically. That's what these people are. And I think a lot of people don't want to be in that position, because they really, they know what it is, and they don't really want to get their hands dirty with it. So rather than talk about all the scandals of the clergy in whatever religion, because there's pretty much nothing but scandals, which again goes right back into the sacrament of confession or reconciliation, and how they have like a hierarchy of these people who then are like, basically, whoever knows the most dirt on everybody is like the top dog or something. And that's pretty much what it is. But it pretty much fits in with all the other sacraments. In the Catholic Church, priests aren't allowed to be married usually, because they don't want them to have that loyalty to another person, because they're really supposed to, this is the idea, they're supposed to be married to the church. And this is in general with clergy, they're supposed to be married to the organization that they belong to, that they're clergy of. So when you have that, it's like the person is like a representative of the organization, but it's actually not really that great of a thing, because they're supposed to be perfect, and they're supposed to, like be a moral example, but the reality is they're not. And say even if a priest manages to, stay celibate or do whatever it is he thinks the church wants, there's still going to be aspects of his character that are not really in line with a good moral value system. Um, so it's pretty much, you know, clergy in any religion are not somebody to aspire to be like. They're somebody to say, look at that sorry, sad excuse for a human being, and just do not emulate them. So you see them and they try to put themselves like on pedestals of being better than everybody else. You know, they're almost like worse than everybody else because not only are they bad people, but they're in denial about how awful they are. And so you're going to find people who are like trying to preach to you to do things a certain way. And then the other thing is with clergy, they don't live in the real world. They live in their own fantasy world that they made up. So you're out there struggling, you know, living in the quote real world where you have to deal with a lot of stuff that these clergy have sort of insulated themselves from so that they don't have to deal with it. So they're giving you advice on how to live your life that is just not going to work because they don't have to deal with those things because they've set themselves up kind of like in a tower basically, where they don't have to touch all the dirty stuff that you have to touch every day. So they're trying to pretend like, well, it's just so easy to stay pure because, you know, I don't have to do any of that stuff that you have to do every day. So I can just make myself out to be so much better than you are. And taking a sacrament like that, like as far as being a really effective and efficient sacrament, it's one of those things that everybody says, oh, that's like sounds really cool because now you really have this, you've got this purpose and meaning to your life, even though like you know, nothing else really means anything except this religious organization that's just made up basically. But actually taking the holy orders thing is not, you know, it's not like this fun, people think it's going to be like this fun time, but it's really not. It's basically a bunch of stuff that the laity, you know, I'm sure does not really want to hear about what's actually involved in it because again, it's all the dirt that this person is telling you is so bad that they're probably doing. And I hope this discourages people from thinking that they want to do that kind of work. Because they actually think they're so holy, but they're just being naive about what's really involved. You know, people who do that sort of work, they're not any better than you, they're worse. And I really want that to sink in for people. Because most people don't get it because these people have painted a picture of themselves as being better. Okay.